Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this afternoon's session for the Apcert and APNIC security track. My name's Ewan Ward. I'm from CERT Australia, also here as a member of the Apcert steering committee. We've got a session this afternoon. This morning we heard about the threat landscape and we've heard about some specific incident response cases. This afternoon we're changing a little bit and we're going to be talking about the cybersecurity environment, about the health of that environment, through three presentations. The first one will be from Yuri Ito from JP CERT. We'll be talking about cyber green. We'll have a presentation from Dr. Aswami, Dr. AA from Cybersecurity Malaysia about their coordinated malware eradication program, and also from Giacomo Piccolini from Team Cymru. He'll be talking about the work that they've been doing around unsolicited traffic. And apart from the health side of things, they're also going to talk a little bit about what we can learn from metrics. So how we might measure what's happening on the internet in terms of the environment and what that can tell us about how we're going, whether we're having success or otherwise in trying to improve the internet ecosystem, if you like. So with that, I'll hand over. Oh, sorry, the other thing I'll just mention quickly is we're going to change the session structure a little bit here. What we'll do is after each speaker will stay on stage, but we'll also opportunity for any immediate questions and answers after each presentation if you've got any pressing issues, and then we can return to questions at the end if we have time as well. So I'd ask you to welcome Ms. Yuri Ito from JP CERT.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Yuri Ito. Thank you, Yuan, for introduction. That was a great introduction, and then abstract what we're going to do this session. So in this session, I would like to focus. We would like to focus a little bit for the environmental approach, and Yuan mentioned health. The reason why we use this health is because we are inspired by the public healthcare approach, global public healthcare approach. Like a global global community is taking, for example, malaria risks by sharing information about the symptoms of malaria and then sharing that information with the CDCs. But at the same time, they're analyzing what is the root cause of that, what's the transit vector of that. Is that mosquito? Okay, so what we can do to address the mosquito problem. What is the root cause of that mosquito? That's probably untreated swamp water. How can we clean up the swamp water level? And then a global community is measuring that environmental level, the health level, health problem level, and then improving the underlying environment and address that malaria problem. And we think that is that kind of international collaboration, using that metrics, measuring that environment, and then approaching and encourage the international collaboration is very much similar, and we can apply that collaboration model to a cyberspace. So that's what we start thinking. Cyber is also a health. Or environmental health. We can improve the environment. We can, focus on the environmental, improvement, and overall try to reduce the cybersecurity risks together. So that's the concept of the cyber green. Just a little bit of the context. What's the background? Why we start thinking this way? Of course, needless to say in this crowd, but increasing dominance of the cyber in communications, business, and utilities, everyday's life. Cyber risks continue to increase across the ecosystem. Growing militarization of cybersecurity worsens. This is something that I would like to talk to the next slide. Measurement of risks is a to improving the ecosystem to motivate and get actionable information to those who can act. So this type of environmental approach, something like cleanup, fixing vulnerabilities, those type of, to improve the technical ecosystem of the internet. Those activities are ongoing at the CERT level, and CERT coordinated the risk condition to the network operators, and network operators and ISPs, service providers, are working with the users, clean up the devices, clean up the infection, fixing vulnerabilities, fixing misconfiguration. Those things are going on, but it's a really resource burning. And also, nobody's really measuring the improvement. Namely, very famous saying, when you cannot measure, you cannot improve. So to improve the environment, to improve the technical ecosystem health, you really need to start collecting the data and measuring it. So metrics is very important. And also, there are so many cybersecurity discussions at the policy level at the moment. And if you go to those meetings and then listening to what the government intergovernmental conversations going, there are so many emotional, probably fear-driven conversation, but not a lot of data-driven discussions. Where is the sources of the risks? By data, where is the evidence? How, identify the risk sources of the risks, and how to address it with the data. That's something like the community missing. So that's one of the context. And then for this militarization thing, well, it's not necessarily only the militarization, of course, but under the cybersecurity, there are so many different activities are mixed at the moment. Of course, the cybersecurity is not only the technical problem anymore. It is a public safety problem. It is a national security problems. It is also the military. Intelligence is coming in. Law enforcement is coming in. They are different, players for the different problems and different function. And everything is now under cybersecurity and discussed as cybersecurity. That is a very confusing, that is not really, good. Right now, lots of attention to attribution, especially at the, some of those national security operations community, intelligence, law enforcement community. Almost too much attention to attribution, who's conducting. Once something happens, everybody starts saying, oh, that attack was coming from this country, that nation is on the back of this attack, which is actually, from the technical community perspective, it's a very hard thing to determine. We can see where the attack comes from, but we cannot say the attackers or sources of the attack is from there. And determining that attribution is hard. And then for the CERT, instant response community, it is not that relevant. When the attack comes, we have to respond, regardless who is conducting. And then a lot of discussion in the international, dialogue is about that. We are missing this, the second bullet. We need to focus more on ecosystem health and improvement. There's not a lot of discussion about too much attention to the threat, but not a lot of discussions about improvement of the ecosystem so that the infrastructure is harder to be compromised and used as attack infrastructure. So Cyber Green is trying to focus that, which is really go back to the CERT community started saying, my security is depending on your security. 10, 20 years ago, that was the slogan of the international security collaboration. My security is depending on your security. These days, my security is my security. When you're talking about the security, it is the security approaches. You are building the border, you're building the firewalls in front of you, and the rest is rest of the world. But this environmental approach is putting us all work together because everyone is connected in one internet. You are washing your hands not to get the virus, but at the same time, you're washing hands not to provide, not to spread the virus to your family and, your school. That type of hygiene mindset is necessarily at the moment for everyone to remind that this is the one connected internet space. So CERT service is, one big service is, of course, reactive service, response service. So we provide instant response coordination. Proactive is another function. We think that the cyber green is more on the proactive side. The very important roles and mission of CERT is we provide prevention activities and also improvement. Prevention is, proactive prevention is more like indicator sharing type of things. When the incident happens, it might be difficult for that organization to share that incident or attack or characteristics of the attack activities. But as a neutral position, independent organization, the certs are the place where we get that type of information. We can anonymize that and then share attack indicator. So that's one of the preventions, so that the rest of the organization can use that indicator and then identify the similar attack. So that's one of the prevention. Now improvement, this is about cyber green. Cleanups, vulnerability handling, coordination. It's really about how we can clean up the infected network and then decrease or eliminate the number of the vulnerable devices or vulnerable nodes. So that again, the network is becoming trying to make the internet harder to be compromised and be used as attack infrastructure. We cannot control the attackers, but we can control our environment. We can control to improve it and make it harder to be used by that bad actors. So this is a cyber green concept. Yes, we all need to work on your cybersecurity for your organization, but at the same time, would you build your national critical systems and cybersecurity measures on an infected global internet ecosystem which is vulnerable and carrying high malicious traffic, or be a clean global internet ecosystem which is resilient with little malicious traffic? And of course, the answer is B. And really, the people in this room, the certs and network operators, we have a big responsibility to make it the internet, the greener and more resilient place. And this is really a sustainable cybersecurity approach. If the cybersecurity is all going into the extreme side of the national security, the extreme side is going to be the balkanization. It is going to be a very segmented world coming. We're going to have to bring the connected, environmental idea, global idea, and then, work together. So, defining cyber health. What is internet? What is the healthy internet? So we define the healthy internet is a less infected, and then less vulnerabilities, and then less malicious traffic, unsolicited traffic, which include spams, all kinds of unsolicited, malicious traffic. So vulnerability, infection, unsolicited traffic, these are the three high-level risk factor that we believe risk against a healthy cyber, healthy internet. I talked about this applying root cause analysis to internet health, so I'm not going to repeat this. Overarching goal of Cyber Green. So we're trying to establish an increasingly effective hub for collaboration efforts to address cyber risks and improve the health of the cyber ecosystem. Again, this is going to be the collaboration hub for anybody has the rules and mission to improve the ecosystem health. So anybody who needs to clean up, anybody needs to fix the vulnerabilities, and anybody who needs that type of data and statistics to analyze and use as a policy advocates. So again, we like to work with the policy advocates because this is not only the technical problem. We need to influence to the policymakers and let them more motivate to invest more on this type of approach. Estimation of the internet health and improvement, build a system to fuse data sources together for indicator development, continuous report to stakeholders. I'm going to show you the operation of the Cyber Green, and you will have a little better, clear idea. So mission, again, the project will improve the cyber health by enhancing collaboration between key stakeholders in cyberspace. It's a global program. This is including all that national certs and leading certs, network operators around the world, not only Asia Pacific. Starting with the Asia Pacific, we developed this concept at Apcert community, but we are extending this as a global. So again, this is the risk indicators, percentage of the infected host population. So we are counting, we're collecting those infection data from the global data sources, which I'm going to explain later. Bot membership, sinkhole data, malicious malware infection. And then the second bucket is the percent of the system vulnerability. So we are measuring the client side of vulnerability and the server side of the vulnerabilities and trying to measure that. There are, of course, a challenge, technical challenge in that, but we're going to have to start somewhere. So again, this is a 10 years long challenge and the 10 years of problems we need to solve. But that's the second bucket. The third bucket is a percentage of the malicious network traffic, spams, DDoS attacks, and those. And the goal of the participants is to drive these values to 0. Now, data sources. We are collaborating with partners to gather risk condition data. So Cyber Green itself does not provide the sensors, or we're not developing the sensor. What we are doing is collaborating with the data sources. We seek reliable, high confidence global data sources. Import regularly. We're importing the data daily basis. Measurement into the Cyber Green system, accept partner redistribution restrictions, free of any fees. So we are not buying data. At the same time, we are not selling data. It's all good internet. It's all shared responsibility and collaboration. This is a list of the data sources we are negotiating, including negotiating. But we have good 20 plus data sources start providing us the risk condition data. Again, not only Japanese data, but global data. So this is the portal site. And I have the web, I can show you some demo. So before going in there, I would like to talk a little bit about the operation, Cyber Green operation. So this is what we are doing. Last year, this project is started as JP-CERT project. We got the fund from Japanese government, Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry. Many budgeted us to build this cyber green system. So we have the partnership with experts. In this room, you probably know Jose Nazario, used to be ABA. Now he's working for the other company, but he's an expert on the metrics in global ecosystem measurement. We are partnership with him and other developers like Wes Young, and then developed this cyber green system, which is really about collecting the data, risk condition data from our partner data sources, collecting those risk condition data, and then push it out to national certs. Starting with the national cert, it could be expanding to other partners, inviting other remediators as well. But this year, we're inviting the national certs all over the world. Hook to the system, get the risk condition data, infected IP addresses, vulnerable nodes IP addresses, the IP addresses, which is just the spreading the unsolicited traffic. So the CERT can get those data and then remediate. We are also providing the remediation best practice as well. So not only getting the risk data, but the certs can get the remediation data. So with the remediation tools or best practices, CERT can work with the national, ISPs, network operators, to clean up or fixing those vulnerabilities, remediate the risks. We are going to provide the capacity building as well. So capacity building is one other important factor of this project. There are many developing certs in the world who does not have a relationship with the data sources directly. So what we're going to do is help them develop this capability to securely and safely get the data and remediate it. So that's the other thing, capacity building and remediation operation support. That's to the certs. The other operation is, again, this system, Cyber Green system, not only data sharing distribution. This system has a statistical engine backend. And what we're going to do is making the statistics, how the risks is, or decreasing. And then calculating the health index, health indices of each national cyberspace. So I'm going to show you that in the website. So this is the Cyber Green portal. This is the pilot operation. So this needs a lot of improvement, of course. But what we are doing is collecting all that again. This is the top page of the Cyber Green. You will see all that each country has a cyber health index. The index is showing you how much health index of cyberspace. This is really we are taking the volatility. So it's comparing from the status, risk health level state, your yesterday. So it's not the direct comparison between countries at the moment, because we're going to get there. But we need a normalization, right normalization, to make this index cross-comparable. And then this is technically need a lot of trial and challenge there. We need to do a lot of testing and improvement. So not right now, but what you can do in each country's health index comparing from yesterday, and we're putting top performers who's doing good to reducing its health level. If you go into your country, what you are going to see is your data, your green index, and also your 3 indicators, trend. How is your compromised nodes? How is your unsolicited traffic IP addresses? We're going to, showing you all that trend. And then also you will see the distinct IP counts. And then for the cert, if you click the data, it's taking a little bit time, not because of the network. It's calculating all the real-time data, so it's taking a little time. If you click the data, you will see the raw data. So the cert can pull those data directly and then work with the ISPs. Now it's not, I cannot show you this on this portal. I have to log in, I'm sorry. Very good. Well, so the data you can pull directly from the portal. You can write an API and pull the data. There are so many ways to do it. Risks, you can see the different risks landscape as well. So you can see the nodes. Okay, well, I apologize. This is very slow at the moment somehow. So if you are interested, grab me. I'll be here in this room. Here you go, compromised nodes. So this is really showing you your cyberspace, how it's infected, how much infection you have. Now, we have the data sources here, and then we have the green index, how we are, all that metrics calculation, the mathematics behind how we're calculating this health is, so you can see what type of metrics method we're doing, how we're collecting data, what type of metrics method, how are we counting it, how are we making, index. These are all transparently, published. So you know what we are doing and why these numbers are out. So this is, it's going to be, I'm going to wrap up in 1 minute. So there's a lot more challenge, but the next thing we'd like to go is the normalization. We are testing what type of normalization is going to be work for each risks. By IP addresses or by population. We are testing right now to normalize with IP subscribers. So it's more population rather than IP addresses. Because you never know, how many devices are connected to one IP address. So there's a lot of things, ITC budget, sorry, that was the correlation. So another thing that we're doing is a correlation. Correlation analysis is another interesting thing that we're doing. We're correlating this health level, the green index, healthness landscape with the other statistics like ICT budget globally, or by parroted software rates, certs, response, cert capacity, or by number of the CISSP. There are so many things we can correlate. Analyzing why Korea has, very green and very clean, environment. And, we're trying to, identify why we have, what really works, really trying to, identify the best practices, how to improve the technical ecosystem. So there's a lot of challenge, interesting project around the cyber green, not only just remediating and clean up the environment. So key stakeholders are the CERT community, of course, but from the CERT, there are network operators behind the CERT, and you are the really the player to hands-on and remediating and clean up the network. So we are very excited and working with you, and if we can visualize your hard working efforts into this health index, I think it works really well to convince to your sponsors or policymakers or investment, encouraging more investment to this type of cleanup activities. So key stakeholders is CERT, but network operators, and also if there is a statistics experts or metrics experts in this room, please let me know, grab me later, because those are the experts that we need on this project. And also, the status of this project is this year is this is the JP-CERT project, but we spin off this as a project status to international, really global operation. So we are seeking the global funding for this project, and it's not going to be only just a project. We're probably seeking the legal organization, international NPO, looking for, again, the global funding. So if you have funding, you are the stakeholder as well. Please grab me. So these are the stakeholders. Again, lastly, expected impact. We need to establish the norms on improved cyber health and environment. Cybersecurity is not only trying to get rid of the threats. It is about the environmental approach. And we need to start, this community has a huge responsibility to build that norms. And then, really trying the cyberspace, the green space, not that battlefield. In-house global approach and coordination. Again, need the data, statistics, more evidential base of approach. So please join the Global Cyber Green Initiative. You will probably hear from your national CERTs, the national level of cleanup and this type of environmental approach project. Next speaker is Dr. Azwami from Malaysia. He's going to introduce you the national level of cleanup activities in Malaysia, which is going to be nicely connected to this project. This is really a global initiative to really supporting and encouraging that type of national approach. The people in this room familiar with the Cyber Clean Center in Japan, starting 2006. That was really inspiring to the rest of the world. Cyber Green is also inspired by that activity as well. And now we have a very good organized approach from Malaysia by Azwami. So I am going to pass that polio to Dr. Azwami. Thank you very much for your attention. Oh, any questions? Nope. Okay. Well, I'll be here for the rest of this afternoon, so grab me, please. Looking forward to have the discussion.
Thanks, Yuri. Doesn't look like there are any questions right at this moment. Yuri will be on stage, so we will hopefully come back to anything at the end if you do have them. But without further ado, Dr. Azwami from Cybersecurity Malaysia.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Just to share with you on our latest project is about 5 months old. It was mooted last year. I shared it during APNIC 38 last year on the introduction on the framework that we already devised. So this is not an easy project, but after doing some groundworks together with Microsoft and other stakeholders, and we foresee that this is doable. Most probably people will say that it is big aspirations, but because we feel the heat on the ground with regard to malware infections, a lot of variants, and also APTs. So it is timely, it is important for us to embark in the project. And they call it coordinated malware eradication previously. And I've had a lot of dialogue, discussions with law enforcement agencies, and they say that if it remains only eradication, and the cyber criminals would be able to improve their infrastructure. So most probably they would like to see some sort of, apart from eradication, to be along with eradication is remediation. How do you prevent from future infections? So this project is through Apcert, is a Department of Cybersecurity Malaysia. So hopefully it's not only CERT, technical solution, but also we can embed or work together with forensics, because when we sat down with DCU, Digital Crime Unit of Microsoft, so a lot of law enforcement agencies involvement together with CERT communities. So hopefully together with CSERT, CERT, and also forensics, we are able to kick off this project, and hopefully it's going to be successful. And I'm just going to skip on this introduction about myself. You can know more from the website. So the agenda of today is, I have about 7, but most importantly, I just want to show that to highlight that CMOP objective, as we know that all of us do not want malware infections, virus infection. We want to get rid of it. So it's just like a cat and mouse game. And just a bit of background works on the ground issues with regard to incidents and statistics. Most importantly, the framework, how do you engage? How do you calibrate, and at the end of the day, how do you coordinate? Yeah, and the metric itself, how do you extract from the framework? And hopefully someday, because this is just, as I said earlier, is 5 months old project, we'll be able to develop a system. Yeah, and we have done Apcert, Malaysian Computer Emergency Response Team. We have done a lot of grounding works before it could really become a national project. Yeah, we have to do a lot of things on the ground, and officially then we can do the campaign or to kickstart at the national level. So till today, we have get industry to involve with us together with academia, because when it involves algorithm, matrices, and whatnot, data mining, AI, so we have to get the expert from industry, from the academia. So a lot of R&D works, yeah, because we just recently launched our Cyber Forensics X Lab, yeah. We are okay in terms of operations. We have done that for the past 10 years, and with research, we want to give fits back to the operations in terms of any issues that they face on the ground. So we are involving in research development, and also hopefully, some of it will be open source and free, and some of it will be can be commercialized. Yeah, and there's a lot of talks in the academia industry with regard to forensics, big data approaches to forensics, because we are getting a lot of fits. We have our own HoneyNet. We have done some a bit of we have revamp, yeah, to keep up with the evolution of technology, together with open source, and also at the same time some commercial, just to get some differences between the two in terms of performance and features. So we are just doing that, yeah. And later I will share with you on the conclusion. So the vision. Vision is, I think, same goes to everybody in this room, is to build a secure cyberspace and secure and resilient cyberspace. That is our ultimate vision. So one of the objectives you can read, I've already uploaded my slide, is to reduce the number of bot and malware infection in Malaysia. Yeah. So in short, this is really our task on the ground. A bit of information with regard incidents on the ground. For your information, early this year, our Malaysian Airlines system has been down for a couple of hours. So something had happened. It's not really, it's a big system, and they have their own vendors and contractors. And at the end of the day, it's just like DNS hijacking. But in terms of personal opinion, we might know, we are just afraid that most probably, yeah, the lizard squad would have planted something. It's just precaution on the ground. So it's just to inform the audience here that we're already feeling the heat. The APTs, they are already inside the system. Yeah. And we can see the C2s from here and there, as mentioned by my colleagues earlier today. And how do we apprehend, how do we catch the cyber criminals? It's just like a magic, something that is quite difficult. We can know where is the C2, where is the location, the IP and whatnot. But how do we really apprehend the cyber criminals? It's a big task on the ground to make it happen. So APT is already in the system, so we have to do something. With regard to financial incidents, Zeus banking malware, unfortunately, if they infect my system, it's difficult for me to tell. Yeah, let alone those people, the users, the consumers on the ground. It's difficult for them to ascertain that they have their system, their laptop and handphone is being infected. So we have to do something, yeah. And I think all of you know when the browser man-in-the-middle browser attack is so sophisticated in terms of cases or incidents on the ground, it's very difficult. Yeah, we need to have some kind of automation or prediction in the future. Yeah. So how do we assist internet users on the ground? This is with regard to cases that Apcert reported to our Cyber 999 program. We have a program called Cyber 999. It's just like the 999. If they have something with regard to internet incidents or even forensics, they can come to us. As you can see that apart from fraud, the motivation to monetize, yeah, and all other things with regard to malicious code intrusion and whatnot, yeah. And for your information, it is increasing from year to year, and we have to do something. Are we, okay or not in terms of technology or deployment or method, techniques that we currently have? We have to beef up. We have to improve. And the numbers of infections in Malaysia, as you can see, 2013 is 2.8 million, 3.2 million. How do we do that? Can we do it manually? We have to do it automatically. It's almost impossible to do it manually, but most probably it's a combination of both. Yeah. So this is just some of the fits that we have, for your information, we have tied a collaboration with Microsoft under digital crime. We call it a CTP. It's a threat intelligence program, and they will be able to give us the numbers of infections relevant to which sectors. So these are just a good fit that we get from our collaborators, but that's not enough for us. We need to verify, and we have our own HoneyNet system to verify whether this is okay or not. I'm not saying that Microsoft is not okay, but on the ground we have to do just that. Yeah, and this is a 5 months old project. Again, from the framework I've presented during APNIC about 5 slides. Yeah, so this is just some of the developments that we obtain over the 5 months. So this is the framework, and I believe every Asia economy or country, you have your own approach, your own framework, but in terms of literatures, because I'm just hybrid, very operational, and also some academia, perspective in myself. So I've done a bit of literature review, and I could not get information. The best I could get is from Dave Dietrich, and it's just like a very, at the abstract level. So this is the best that we could have come. If the audience here, you have more and you have more ideas, you are most welcome to contribute to email to me. Yeah. So 5 important components. Forensics analysis. Yeah, it's a combination of CSET, SET, and also forensics, because we need to apprehend the cyber criminals. And from forensics analysis, data feeds, and our own HoneyNet system, we are able to understand the threat coverage. Yeah, and we are able to respond on the ground, and hopefully at the end of the day, it's just like a crystal ball. We will be able to prevent, to have some kind of predictive analytics in the future, and the rest is just a straightforward target audience, enterprise, end user, financial sector, or any CNI sectors that is being infected. Hopefully, we can kickstart this year, and some kind of information can be shared during our conference in September, cybersecurity conference together with Apcert and also OIC Cert. So eradication, and hopefully the compensation, we can do something. It's not just only eradication. So extraction from the framework, yeah, the 3 most important thing is to detect. You must be able to detect. It's just that your normal health, yeah, you must be able to detect what illness that you have, and to respond. And at the end of the day, another thing is to prevent, yeah, the crystal ball. How do we come up with a crystal ball to be able to prevent all these incidences, cases on the ground? And this is just a bit of information with regard to a concept, a system that we'll be able to gather all those data feeds, yeah, from our collaborators, from and our own system, and we'll be able to analyze and understand the threat landscape, especially in Malaysia, because hopefully this is going to be a national project, and to be able to isolate those users or enterprise and to assist them to clean up, yeah, so that they are able to be connected to the internet again. And the analytics, I'm really working with those industry experts to be able to contribute so that we are able to know something in the future. So a bit of information on the project phases. It's not easy. Personally, I felt that it's not easy. How do you govern it? How do you manage it? Yeah, in terms of to get acceptance or buy-in from the stakeholder. And let alone technical. Yeah, technical is very complex and it's quite difficult. Yeah, the infrastructure of the cyber criminals are too sophisticated. Legal, yeah, how do you use legal? That's why I want to understand how Microsoft did it with regard to rootstock, takedown, and the latest one is Remnant. And project duration is not 1 year, yeah, most probably 3 or to 5 years. It's gonna take some time. And apart from that, money, as mentioned by you, yeah. If you don't have money, you cannot talk so much. And Kickstart, we have done the works on the ground is quite important. And to get the buy-in from stakeholders, engagement, collaboration, and at the end of the day, with mass data, you'll be able to coordinate effectively and efficiently. Yeah? And at the end of the day, is to review the project, and I hope to share something if you decide to come to our conference at the end of this year in September, so that we are able to understand the threat landscape, and especially in Malaysia. Hopefully it can be also, you can get some kind of information and be able to take action within your country. So I already got the buy-in, yeah, the acceptance to work together with our local ISP, domain provider, Microsoft, National Microsoft. We already signed a pact with them, FireEye. We have our own open source system, just to to understand the difference between the two, so that the information is very good. Yeah, Fortinet and Trend Micro, as you can see, different perspective, so that we could to have a strong understanding with regard to malware infections, and not to leave those researchers from the universities. We have signed MOU with University of South Australia. Yeah, I'm third quarter Aussie. Yeah, so I have to sign with them. I've been there for 3 years. Surrey University and our local universities, and we have done a lot of research, not only HoneyNet deployment, big data analytics approaches to forensics. And we have done a lot of research in vulnerability to understand technologies, operating system, networks, and whatnot. So at the end of the day, this is what we envisage, or this is our aspirations, to have a big data analytics systems within our facility, and all those masses of data that we gather from our counterpart and also from our own system. How do we analyze all those informations? And hopefully, it's just like a crystal ball. We will be able to understand what's coming forth today. Coming forth tomorrow, we understand it today. Yeah. This is my last slide. Yeah. I'm okay with the time. I need to know to understand with the system that we are able, hopefully in the future, to build our own cyber threat intelligence report, yeah, malware, biometrics, and whatnot. National, international corporations to combat against cybercrime. This is very difficult. I mean, in our own country, how do we coordinate? How do we cooperate with each other? Let alone at international level, yeah. How do we cooperate together? This is a big issue, yeah. And enforcement, just to test the enforcement, because it's just like DSU, when they take down Remnant or even other malware variants. How do we, involve the law enforcement agencies, for example, like the police, to be able to test our own cyber laws? And I do not know. Most probably, upfront is going to be quite expensive. But later on, if you translate the cybercrime itself, the cost of the cybercrimes against the cost to build a system, yeah, it could be very good. The cost to build a system could be lower than the cost of the cybercrime itself. And most importantly for Malaysia, I see it as a capability and capacity building, just to upgrade ourselves, just to keep pace. with the cyber criminals work is just like, again, a cat and mouse game, yeah? Who is the superhero here? And emergency readiness is to combine CCERT and also CERT with forensics, yeah? So that not only to provide technical solution, but also at the same time, how do you get the evidence, the good evidence, right evidence to be able to prosecute the cyber criminals? So with that, I end my presentation. Thank you.